everyone and welcome to this video. In this video we'll be creating a sticky note application in React. So here we have a simple button. So whenever we click on this button, it creates a model for us, and here we can type our note. We can say note 1, and you will see if you click again it creates another model. You can type note 2, right? Then once more you click, you create again, right? So I can say important note, so important note, right? So it's sticky note, you can move wherever you like, and also you can click this close button. So isn't that amazing? So we're going to be creating that using simple DOM functions and React component also. So let's get started. Create a new folder on your desktop and name it React Sticky Notes. And then open up this folder on your favorite code editor. I recommend you to use VS Code. And just drag and drop it on your favorite code editor, and it should load the project directory. Now here we want to set up our React project. So I want you to open the terminal and now run the commands to start a React project. So the command to set up a React project is npx create-react-app, then the name of the folder where you want the React project to be. Now since we have already created our folder and we want all the files to be inside this React sticky notes, I will simply put a dot here and then hit enter to run this command. It will install all the dependencies required, and we'll have to wait for 1 to 2 minutes for the process to complete. Okay, so after your installation is complete, just run npm start to start up your project on your browser. So this will spin up our React project and it will show a default page in localhost 3000 port. You can see the server is running in localhost 3000. Let me just copy up this URL and open it on Chrome. And you should see that edit src app.js to save and reload. So this is our React project scaffold and it's running without any issue. So now let's go to app.js and start editing to create our sticky notes. So here go to src, then app.js. So now here all this template code let us remove and just say hello sticky notes to see if the changes are reflecting or not. Also let me zoom it up. Yes. So now let's go back to our browser and we can see hello sticky notes. So now to make our sticky notes, I will create a components folder, components, where we will create one file called sticky note component. So I'm making it as a component because this will be reused. There will be multiple sticky notes that we will be able to create, and we don't want to repeat here by duplicating our code, right? We want to reuse our code, so that's why I'm creating a component. And also it's a good structure to follow that you have to put all the component files inside your components folder. So now go to app.js and let us import our sticky note components. So import sticky note from /components/sticky note. So this is our component. Right now it's empty. So we can simply export a function. So export default function. So this will be our component. We can put a name here. So I can say export default function sticky note. It's optional. So here I just need to return JSX. So I can say div sticky note component. Save it up and go to app.js again, and now just call this component here sticky note and save it up, and then go back to your browser. We can say sticky note component. So this code right here is coming from this component, and now we need to do our styling and editing in this component itself. Now in a sticky note we want it to have a header where we can hold and drag, just like Windows. There is a header here in every window. So this window right here, there is a header where we can hold and drag this window, and then there is a body here where we can type our text, right? So we want it to be like that. So for that, go to sticky note. Here we will create a class. We'll give it a class so that we can style it easily, and make sure you put it class name because class is a reserved word in JavaScript and it's not allowed in JSX. So you have to put class name, then here you have to put sticky notes, sticky sticky notes, and this class name will be used to style from CSS file, but for now just write the HTML structure. Then inside this we want to have a header, so I will say div.sticky node header, and this will create a div element with sticky node header, HEADER. Then I want here to also be a text area, TEXTAREA, text area, and let us see how it looks right now. Okay, there's just a text area and nothing is here. I can put here a header title, say sticky note, save it up. Then I can say sticky note here in a header, and there is the text element. So now we need to style it to make it look like a window panel. So let us do it. If you check app.js, you'll find that there is already a CSS file included in app.js, app.css. We can also include CSS file here by writing our own CSS file. But here we already have app.css, and if we go down, we should see app.css, this one, app.css, and here itself we can put our styles. So what we can do, we can remove all the default styling, and then we can write our own styles for this sticky note application in app.css. And this file is already included here, so whatever style we put here, it should work. So I have a class here with sticky note. Let me copy this up, dot sticky note, and let me try to put a background of red to see whether it works. So go here and you can see, yes, it's working. So it's a div element. Inside this we have a text area, and this is our sticky note. So now I want to style the header first. I want to make it blue in color, so just copy it up, dot sticky note header. I want its background to be blue. Yes, it is blue. And I want the header text, any text inside the header, I want its color to be white. Yes, it's white now. And we also want this parent element's width. This parent element's width should be around 300 pixels. So let us try it. Go to sticky note, width 300 pixels. Let's see if it works. Yes, it's working. Now this text area right here, it should take up 100% width of its parent. So we can simply say text area, and since we will have only one text area for this application, I don't want to put any class name. I just want to generally style it. So I'll say width should be 100%. And you can see it's now almost matching the parent. Just for one issue, it's due to border actually. It's due to borders and paddings. It's not matching exactly. It's not aligning. As you can see, there is a little bit gap here, a little bit difference here. So we can fix this by putting a fix right here. We can simply say box sizing. So this one is a universal selector right here. We can say box sizing border box. So this property right here, it removes all the issues and inconsistencies in styling our elements. So I can say border hyphen box. So this one, whenever you put it, you can see that now the element is aligned. So it happens most of the cases due to borders, margins, and paddings. So the width of the element becomes uneven. So now this outline right here is coming whenever we click on this text area. So to remove that, we can simply say outline colon none. So we can simply add this property. So now the outline is removed. So this is our text area. So now this sticky note right here, we want to put a padding. So let me put a padding, sticky note header, padding 10 pixel. To see if any padding is there. Yes, there is a padding. Similarly, we also want padding in our text area. I'll simply copy the similar type of padding. And you can see now both are consistent. Let me zoom out. I have zoomed in a lot. That's why it's appearing very large. Now we want to add a close button here. So let's do it. For that, simply come to sticky note, and here we will create a close button. First, I want to use your flex so that they can be side by side and with a space in between. So for that, I have to wrap the sticky note inside an element. To apply flex styling, you must have child elements, and each element should be a tag in itself. So here we have sticky note above, and below I want to put a close button. So I'll simply use this one, ampersand times. So this shortcut right here, it's like an HTML code. So this one will convert into close button. It'll come as times symbol. If you check this, you can see this X icon or this close icon. So it's coming because of ampersand times. And now I want them to be in the same horizontal line with a gap in between. So for that, I will go to sticky note header class in app.css, and here I want to make it display flex. So first, if you do this display flex, you'll see them that both are in the same row. Just now you have to put justify content, space between, not space around, space between. And then if you save it up, you should see that there is a gap between this sticky note header and this close icon. So here in this close icon, you can style it up more if you want. So let us do it real quick. Class equals to close. So I'll style this close class. I'll give the width, say, for 35 pixels and height of 35 pixels. Then background red. Then I just want to put border hyphen radius of 50% so that it becomes circular. And I want this close icon to be centered. So I'll simply use a trick, display grid, place items center. Or not place items, place content center. So this will center this element, close icon. It needs to go a little bit upward, so I can put a padding bottom. So padding bottom of 5 pixels maybe. Then it'll go a little bit up, yes, and it's fine. And I just want it to bring a hand icon, so I'll say cursor pointer. So whenever I hover over this close button, it shows me a pointer. And also I can simply add a small styling for hover. So close hover, when it hovers, I want its opacity to be 0.8, a little bit less. Okay, so it's something like this. Okay, so now this one is closed, and now here in sticky note I want to bring that move icon, so that whenever we move over this, hover over this, so this move icon will give a hint to the user that we need to move this box. So go to sticky note header, here I'll say cursor move. So now if you hover this, you can see this move icon here. So here there is no move icon in usual Windows, but just to hint the user, it gives a good user experience. So here we have move icon, here we have close icon, and now here we can type our text whatever we like. Now we should be able to move this and drag this from left to right wherever we want, right? So let's try to do that now. Also, if you observe carefully, you will see that there is a small resize icon down there, so with which we can change the width and height of our text area, and I don't want that, so let us remove this. So for that, you go to sticky note text area. So this one right here, I can simply say resize :none. So this property will remove this resize icon, and if I reload, there should be no more resize icon. So also let us put a border here and remove this background color red. So let us put, width should be 100%, that's fine. Okay, in sticky note let us also restrict it with a height. So height, say 250 pixels, maybe, yeah. So we have restricted with height, and text area should take up the height it wants. So here, to confirm, let us put height 100%. Okay, it's now taking this height of this entire element, so this is 350 by 250. And here, let us add a border. So sticky note here border, I want it to be 3 pixels solid, and it should be dark gray in color. So okay, it's crossing the height. So let us remove this. This height 100%. Okay, let height be here in text area. Then this sticky note right here will automatically adjust its height. Okay, so yeah, it's adjusting. And where is this red background coming from? Background red, it's coming from sticky note. Let us remove this background red. Okay, so it should be fine. There's just a little bit difference here at the bottom. We can simply remove that by removing the borders of the text area. Border :none. Okay, now it's looking fine. So, and we can type, and this is our window, right? So now to start moving, we have to use position absolute. So where do we have to use the sticky note right here? We want to make it position absolute, so that with respect to the body, it starts moving wherever we like. We can move it, right? And for that, we have to use JavaScript. It's not enough that you simply use CSS, but this property absolute is must. Without that, you cannot move an element. So to move an element, we can use top and left properties of CSS. So if I say top 30 pixels, it will mean that from the top we have to move 30 pixels, and from the left we can say 50 pixels. So this will move the element this much, from the top 30 pixels, and from the left 50 pixels. We will now go back to our React component, sticky note, and there we will write our JavaScript logic. So now we have to add a few events. The first event will be mouse down, okay, mouse down, mouse up, and mouse move. So these 3 events will work together to enable us to move our element. So whenever we click our mouse, then it will start our mouse down event. Then we will allow it to move using mouse move event. So whenever our mouse moves, we will also move this element by updating the left and top position of the CSS using JavaScript. And then whenever mouse is up or whenever mouse is released, the mouse up event is fired, and then we will stop moving the element. So let us define handle mouse up, handle mouse down, and handle mouse move functions. I can simply say function handle mouse up, then I'll have handle mouse down and handle mouse move. So we'll have handle mouse down, then handle mouse move. Okay, so first we have down, then we move the mouse, then we release the mouse. So now these 3 events, we will add it in our header. We will not add it in our sticky note. Okay, do you know why? So we don't want to move the sticky note whenever we click on this text area, right, or this border or this close icon. We don't want that. We want these elements to move only when we click on this header right here. So this sticky note blue header, so only when we click on here, so this event should work. So here, add this event listeners, or attach this event listeners. So I can say on mouse down equals to on mouse down. So this function right here, handle mouse down. So then we'll have two more, handle mouse move, handle mouse up. Just set up this event listeners. So handle on mouse move and on mouse up. And as you know, in React, the event names have to be in camel case. So we have attached this event listeners, which is fine. Now let's go on to define few more variables. So we have to use a state here, and the state will determine whether the elements should be allowed to move or not. So before we use state, we have to import useStateHook for React. Import useState from React. So here I can define a state, allow move, set allow move. You can give any suitable name you like. So I have named it allow move. So allow move, if it is true, it will mean that we should allow this element to be moved. Okay, if it is false, we should not allow this element to be moved. So let's see how it works. So in handle mouse down, we have to set it allowed to move true, and by default we want it to be false. We don't want this element to move by default. Okay, we don't want it to allow to move whenever we move our mouse. We want it to be allowed to be moved only when we click here in our header and we keep on holding, right, until or unless the mouse is released. So here after releasing, allow move will be false. So okay, and then here we'll have check if allow move is true, only then we will move the sticky note, right? So handle mouse move will always run whether you click the mouse or don't click the mouse. So even when you move the mouse like this without holding your left button of your mouse, so we don't want this element to move, right? We want it to move whenever we are dragging, holding and dragging it. So whenever we start holding our mouse left button, so it'll turn set allow move to true, and whenever we release our handle mouse up, it'll make it false. So whenever it is true, it'll move this. Okay, so here also we can console log to prove you. So console log allow moving. So now let's check our console log in our browser console. So if you check your console, let me zoom it up. Okay, somewhere we have used class, it should be class name in sticky note. We'll check it. But if you just move your mouse, you can see nothing is being logged. But if I click here and move, it's allow moving. But if I move here on top of it without clicking, it's not running. But if I again click here and start moving, allow moving is running. So this condition is right, and here we have to add our logic to update our position based on the position of our mouse, which the details of the cursor position will be using from event object. So also somewhere we have used class, so this should be class name, which is wrong. So as you can see, there is an alert. In React it should be class name. So now come back to your function. In handle mouse move, you can see that we log it whenever we hold here and drag it, right? So but it's not moving anywhere. So to move it, we have to get the instance. So I think we have used ref. Okay, we have not used ref. So we want to use refs here. So what I will do, I'll use ref so that we can get this DOM instance of this element. So basically this sticky note item here, we would like to store a ref. So I will simply say ref equals to, now whichever ref I'm creating here is basically a DOM element reference so that we can do DOM manipulation. So it's a little bit different in React. In normal web development with JavaScript, how do? You use document.querySelector or .getElementById, right? So here we have to use ref. Say I'll say sticky note ref equals to use ref. So you have to do like this. Once you create a ref, you have to assign this ref here. Okay. So once you have assigned the ref, now you can use this wherever you want to manipulate the DOM. So I want to get this ref, and to get the element you have to use .current. Okay. Then I can say style.left. So it's basically the CSS property. As you know, in CSS we have left and right. So we want to manipulate these values right here. So I want to say, now every event gets an event object, and event object contains the value for left, right, top positions. Okay, so wherever my cursor is, suppose my cursor is at this position x and y, so I can get the value of it using e.clientX. So the left position will be the x value of my cursor plus the px notation. So every CSS code for top and left, they have to use pixels. Okay, so we are using pixels. You can also use percentages or cm or other units like rem or em. So here we have left, and also for the top. So for top, we want to use the y position of the cursor. And now let us check if our object actually moves. So I hold it and try to drag, and let me reload if it is not saved. Yeah, it's actually moving, but you can see it's always at the corner of my cursor. So I don't want that, right? I want my cursor to be in middle or in between. I don't want it to be at the corner always. So once you start dragging, you will find it's always at the corner, because the left and the top, it always means from the cornermost. Okay, so to deal with this, I have a diagram and we are going to discuss the diagram. So currently whenever I am moving my cursor, you can see it's always pointing to this left position, right? So what we want to do, suppose my cursor is at this position at 6, 3. So from the left, it's 6 coordinates, or you can say 6 units from the left, and from the top, it's 3 units. So basically this green point right here. So if I am here, I don't want my top corner to be here, okay? I want it to be in the middle. So for that we have to use the difference of x, okay? So if I want the box to be at 2, 2 whenever I am at 6, 3, so I have to basically find the difference, all right, from the top. So if I click here, what's the difference? So if it's 6 here, the difference is 6 minus 2. So basically the initial position of the corner is 2, 2. So for x it will be 6 minus 2, which is 4. And for y position, it will be 3 minus 2 equals to 1. So basically the difference is 4 and 1. So if I am at 6, 3, I want my box or my editor to be at 2, 2. So to do that, I have to subtract 4 and I have to subtract 1 from the y position. So similarly, if you check here, if I am at 20, 10, similarly, I would like to find the difference it is from the top. So I am representing it with dx and dy. And whenever I subtract this dx and dy, like this, ax minus dx, which is 20 minus 4, I'll get 16. And then I'll get back the original position. So in this way, if we use this technique, you will find that the corner of this editor or the box, it does not suddenly jump to our cursor position. Okay, so basically we have to subtract the difference. So we have to find the difference whenever we click from the corner, all right? So we have to find the difference from the corner whenever we click on our header of the editor. So if we do this, you'll come to know what we mean. I think it's a little bit confusing also to explain. So what we'll do, we will create differences here. Say we can define, let dx and dy, so let this to be differences, and here I'll take an even object. So whenever we hold the mouse down, we want to store the differences. Okay, now how do we get differences? So dx equals to e.clientx, which is our current cursor position. So if I go here, the current cursor position is this one. Say for x it is 6 and for y it is 3. So from here I want to get the position, the left position, okay? The x and y position of the current box. I don't want the cursor position, I want the current x and y position of this box. So to do that, we have a couple of methods. Correct. So this method can only be used on a DOM element. So the DOM element that basically we can access is sticky note ref.current. So which is basically this div element right here. So .current.get bounding client rect. So this is basically a DOM API. It returns us all the dimensions of a DOM element. So I can say const, I can say dimensions equals to this one. And I can console log to see what are the possible values that we can use. So, okay, so let's go back. You can see whenever you move the sticky note, you can see there is a log here, DOM rect, and here we have a couple of values like bottom, height, left, right, top, width, and x and y. So we have x and y positions, and also we have left and top. So this is basically same as x and y. We can also use left and top, or we can also use x and y. So I'll use x and y here. So what I'll say, dimensions, so current position, as you know, we have discussed the diagram. So from this current position, we have to subtract the x position of the box, and from the y position of our cursor, we have to subtract the current y position of our box, of the corner. So I can simply say either client x minus, so client x is basically our mouse cursor position, so minus e, not e, dimensions dot x. So similarly, dy, which is our difference y, we'll say client y minus dimensions dot y. So after this, I can save up and I'll get my differences stored in these two variables. So let us log it out. I don't want to log the dimensions again, but I want to log out differences x and difference in y. So let's save it and let's check again whether the differences are being stored correctly or not. So you can see, yeah, the difference is only stored once we click in the beginning, okay? When the mouse down starts, and when I release the mouse, the difference is gone. Okay, now when I click again, difference should come back, but there should be an issue. I think handle mouse up is not working properly, but let's check here. So first, what we want to do, we want to use these differences, all right? So handle mouse down, this runs once whenever we click. So this is initialized, and then whenever we moved, we get to move the element. So now what we want to do, the x value, we want to store some x, say const x equals to, we want to subtract the difference from the current position that we are moving, okay? So either client x, so from this diagram, this is our current position, so we want to subtract from the current position, say ax, this ax is 20, minus dx, dx is our difference. So whenever we do that, we'll get the corner position that our box is supposed to be. So either client x minus dx, and similarly the y position should be e dot client y minus dy. So if you work out a little bit and put your time in it a little bit to decide how it works, to learn how it works, you'll figure it out yourself. Now let's find out if it's working. So I reload again. Now if I try to move, wait, it's not moving. I think there is some mistake here. You can see x and y. We also subtracted our dx and dy. That's also true. So before we set this, let us log and debug again. Inside mouse move. So often we have to debug whenever we build applications like that to figure out whether the values are right or not. So let's go back, reload. So whenever it's allow mouse move, it's nan, not a number. So basically this might be occurring because dx may not be a number, I guess. So before allow moving, let me check what do I have in e.clientx, what do I have in dx, what do I have in e.clienty. So it might be a string, so this might be causing an issue. So because whenever we subtract a string from a number or something like that weird, it turns out to be not a number. So you can see it's undefined. Alright, it's undefined. So basically it's not a string, it's undefined. So because I think it should be in state, so even if we update it here, it's not accessible here. Alright, or in the beginning it should be 0, I guess. Let us put an initial value if it works. So we have to basically do trial and error. Yeah, wait, it worked. Moment, allow moving. Alright, it's always 0. So basically it's not updating because we are not using states. So let us use state here, because whenever you use React, you are supposed to use states, right? So unless whenever your data updates, your UI element should also update. So basically this value is not inside the state of React. So that's why it's not updating the UI on any change. So I have to say use state by default 0. I have to say set dx. So similarly for dy, I will do the same. So dy, set dy. So now instead of doing dx equals to this and that, I will simply say set dx. So I can simply update the state like this in React. Now this will update my dx and dy differences. I don't want to log here anymore. I simply want to use here as dx and dy, which is, yeah, nothing to change here. So let us check again if it works. Yeah, perfect. Now we can move our box, and it's taking care of the difference properly, so that its corner is always at the right position and it never suddenly snaps at my mouse cursor position. So if you don't understand, take a screenshot of this diagram and give it a look and take a moment to decide or think how it's working. Alright, then get back to the video. And yeah, if you have done till now, we have to now implement this close button, and we have to add a create button which will allow us to create multiple dialog boxes. Now we simply need to create our logic for handling multiple nodes. So for that I would like to create again a state. So I'll import useState from React, import useState from React. So now I want to maintain all the nodes here, say nodes, set nodes, something like this, and useState, initially it will be an empty array. So every sticky node that we create will be inside this array. Okay? So what we want to do, we will create an event handler for a button. So first let us create a button. I will say button create node with a plus sign. You can use icons later here, like font or some icons. Then here we can add a styling. So class name equals to say sticky button something. So this sticky button right here, we can go to add.css and add a basic styling. dot sticky button, I can add some padding of 10 pixel, background of blue, color of whites, right? Then border radius of 10 pixels, then border of none to remove the default styling. You can see we have a create note here. Also, let there be some padding from the body. I'll simply put a body padding 20 pixels so it doesn't stick to the body. Yeah. Okay, so this create note button here. Also, let me add some hover so that it looks good. Colon hover. So here I want to make background Dodger blue. So which is a better color blue, a little bit lighter tone. Yeah, whenever we hover, and we can add last cursor pointer, and that's it. For our button, this styling is enough. So whenever I create this, multiple dialog boxes, I mean every click should create a new dialog box for sticky note, and this close button should allow us to close it. So now how do we do? So here, since we are maintaining the state for notes, so on this button we want to add an event, say on click equals to add note. So this add note will be our function add note. So in here we will add our notes. So what we'll say set notes. So whatever notes we have currently in this array, we will first spread it out. Okay, so this is ES6. You have to know the ES6 syntax. So here we are bringing our previous notes, and here we'll add a new note. So every node will be an object where I'll have a new ID. So basically ID will be unique. For now you can use date.now, which will give you a unique timestamp. So like this. So this will give an ID, it will create an object, and it will push it to our set nodes. So now this should work. So whenever we add every single node, it will push to this array. So now I don't want to log it, I simply directly want to start using it because it's that simple. So I want to map all the nodes that I have now in this array. So I'll say nodes.map item. So for every item, this will create a sticky note. So this item has no value because we are maintaining the data for the node. So we are simply trying to create track how many nodes we have. So whenever I click this, you can see a new node has popped up. Again I clicked, you can see a new node again. So similarly, now you can see we have so many nodes, right? Isn't that amazing? It's just like Windows, how you can create multiple nodes, type here and there, right? So now we have to deal with this close button. So whenever we click this close button, it should delete this node, right? So we have to make a function to delete. Here, whenever we click on this element, so here on this, so on click of this element, we want to run close function, okay? So basically the close that it will be as a prop. We will send the onClose function, okay? So basically we are passing an onClose function, and this onClose function will be called in our sticky note component. So to receive the prop, you have to simply say onClose. So this onClose will be running whenever we click on this element. Alright, so whenever we click on this sticky note, so whenever we click on the close button actually, not on this note, so whenever we click on this close icon, so on click, we have to call this onClose function that will pass as a prop. So on this sticky note component, we have to pass an onClose function. So like this. So this function will run here. So onClose, we have to run remove node. A function like this, which will define right now here above. So function remove node. So here we have to remove our node. And to remove a node, what do we need? We need its ID, right? So what we have to do, whenever we want to pass parameters here, so I want to get access of this item right here. So this item dot ID. So just like that. So for whenever we are mapping these nodes, so right away I'm also storing this ID, okay, in this function to remove it. So whenever I call remove node, it'll receive the ID, node ID, okay. So ID which you are storing whenever you're creating a node. So this ID will be received in this function, and then we can simply remove it by calling nodes dot filter. So that's a higher order function, and here we'll get the item. Now we have to check if item.id not equals to node ID, then we're gonna remove that node, okay? If it is not equal, then it'll stay there, so it'll be true, but if it is equal, the node will be removed. Alright, so that's how the filter function works. I hope you know it because it's all ES6 and it's used everywhere. So now we have to just update our state using set nodes. So whenever the ID will not match, so those IDs will be present, but if that ID matches with one of those node ID, it will be removed. So whenever we click, this will run, and this has been correctly added to our onClose button. So now let's do our final testing. So reload, click create node. You can see we can move, we can create multiple nodes. What if we click the close? Will it work? You can see it works perfect. So whenever we are creating multiple nodes, say this one was node 1, and this was node 2, and this was node 3. So if you click close on this node 1 or node 2, you'll find that the latest node created gets deleted. So you can see the 3 was deleted, and again I click on node 1, the 2 will be deleted. So it's deleting in the order of creating the nodes. It's not exactly deleting the node that we want. So basically I have node 1 and node 2. So if I click node 1, it should delete node 1, right? So it's deleting the latest one. We don't want that. So to do that, we have to simply add the key attribute. I think you learned in React, whenever you're mapping the elements, so using .map, React tells you to add the key attributes so that the insertion and the removal of DOM elements are proper, okay? So that there is no issue. So key should be unique. So we'll simply use the ID here as key, and now if you check again, the problem should be fixed. Now I create 1, 2, 3. So this was our latest node. This was our first one. This was second. This was third. So if I decide to close this first one, now it's closing as we want it. Then I click node 3 close, node 2 close. All of these are working. So I click this, or I create the new one, or I close the new one. That also works. So fine. With this, we have finished our application. And if you liked it, please subscribe to my channel, as I'll be releasing more videos, of course. And see you soon.